Hi everyone, my name is Monique.
And I'm Naveen from Before You Play.
And today we're going to be doing a full playthrough of a game that is currently on Kickstarter called Ichor.
Yes, this game is designed by Reiner Knizia and published by Bitewing Games, who are helping sponsor this playthrough. And in this game, we are either going to be taking on the roles of the Greek gods from the Pantheon or the Greek monsters, and we're trying to battle it out for Olympus.
Yes, this is a two-player only abstract strategy game, and it's actually one of two Reiner Knizia games that are part of the Mythos collection. So if you're interested in checking out the gameplay for the other game, we've included a link in the description below. As for today, as per usual, we are going to start with a quick teach of the game, and we'll go straight into our two-player playthrough. If you'd like to jump around, we'll include timestamps in the description as well.
Now, of course, we do have to mention this is a prototype copy of the game, so things are subject to change in the future. If you are interested in the campaign, there is that link in the description we can check out at your leisure. Lastly, if you like these kind of videos and you want to see more in the future, please consider subscribing.
And with that, we are ready to begin. So if you'd please direct your attention to the center of the table, we're all set up here for a two-player game of Ichor. Welcome to Mount Olympus.
Ooh.
Now, like we were mentioning, in this game, one player will play as the monsters and the other the Greek gods. And we're basically trying to win control of Mount Olympus by being the first to place out all of our tokens. And so the way that the game works is during setup, each player will randomly select 6 different characters from a total of 8. And that's going to be for both gods and monsters. And these are the characters that'll be in play for the entire game, which technically consists of 2 games. Now, turn structure is fairly simple. On your turn, you're either going to choose one of your characters and move them, or you're going to activate one of your character's powers. Now, in moving a character, you can only move either vertically or horizontally, but you can technically move as far as you'd like. You just can never move onto or over a space that contains another figure. And so as an example, if it were my turn and I were playing the monsters, I could choose to move the Minotaur forward 2 spaces. Now, I do need to mention that we are playing with some upgraded components. The retail version of the game will include cardboard punch-out standees, as well as wooden tokens instead of the ones that we're showing here.
And also, all of our acrylic standees, we're lying them face down for easier viewing today.
So then, after moving your character, you are then going to place out tokens onto the board. 1 token in the space that you left, and additional tokens on each space you pass through. So in this case, just this space. You never place a token on the final space that your character landed on.
In fact, a standee and token can never be on the same space.
Right, and so as an example, had Naveen somehow had one of his tokens here, and I moved the Minotaur onto that space, it would effectively remove his token, returning it back to him. Same holds true if it were my token that were there. I would have to return it back to my supply as well.
And remember, the goal of the game is to be the first player to have all of your tokens out on the board by the end of your turn.
That's right, and so as you can see, this is a majority of what we're going to be doing throughout the game. Now on your turn, instead of doing a basic move with one of your characters, you can choose to activate one of their powers. Now, each character's power can only be activated once per game, and after doing so, you would flip the card over to show that, but these have a wide variety of effects. And so as an example, the Minotaur's card says, while moving, exit one end of the board and re-enter on the opposite end. Which means instead of doing this basic move, as an example, I could have chosen to activate the card in order to move backwards instead. I could go this way, exiting out through the board and entering on the other side. And doing so, I would be able to place out tokens on these 2 spaces. But again, these are one-time use, so I'd have to flip this over, and for the rest of the game, I would not be able to use that power.
You would still be able to use the Minotaur as per usual, but just not an extra power.
Right. And that's essentially it. We will discuss all of our character powers right before we start the game, but just so you know, as soon as one player is able to put out all of the tokens by the end of their turn, then they win the game. And their score is equal to the number of tokens that their opponent still has in their supply. And this is important because once the game is over, you actually switch roles and you play a second game. And after the second game, the winner is going to be the player who has the highest total score.
And in the case of a tie, whoever wins the second game is the winner.
That's right. And we should also mention that the game, at least for the Kickstarter campaign, will include some expansions. Now, we are playing with the smaller size board, which is a 6x6, but there's also a 7x7.
Right.
And we'll discuss the additional expansions towards the end of the video. But for now, we're going to go ahead and get cleaned up, and we'll get started with our playthrough.
Okay, we are all reset, ready to go. In this first game, I'm going to be taking on the gods. Monique will be the monsters, and the monsters always go first.
That's right. Shall we introduce our characters?
Okay.
All right, so on the monster side, first we have Medusa. And the gods actually have a very similar power. It's going to be Aphrodite.
Yep.
And the power says after a god has used their ability on the previous turn, use the same ability. So we can basically clone our opponent's ability.
Sure.
But it must be the turn after they use it. My centaur says instead of moving as normal, I can move diagonally, placing your tokens as normal, because of course, usually you can only move vertically or horizontally. Next, we have the Hydra that says instead of moving, remove all tokens from all spaces around. It's going to be the straight and diagonal spaces. In the 8 spaces surrounding the Hydra token. Then we have the Minotaur, which we showcased during the teach, that allows you to exit one end of the board and re-enter on the opposite end while moving. The Cyclops says after moving, move a second time, placing your tokens as normal, then remove this figure. So typically, whenever you move your figure on your own turn, you can place out a token on the space that they vacate. But if you have to remove your figure from the board, they don't do that. And finally, we have Cerberus that says instead of moving, replace any 3 god tokens with your tokens.
Oof. Okay, for me, as the gods, Apollo over here says after moving as normal, you get to move a second time back to your starting position. So if I was here, I can go boom all the way back.
Okay, so that's for like vantage point, right?
Next, we have Athena. Instead of moving as normal, I can move in 3 single steps. So instead of just going all in one direction, I can go 1, 2, 3, something like that.
Nice.
For Zeus, instead of moving, I can place tokens on all 4 diagonal spaces. Hermes is interesting. Instead of moving as normal, I can just pluck Hermes and move them to any open space.
Oh, okay. So Hermes will jump, and in that case, you would get to place out a token on the space that you left from.
And with Poseidon, instead of moving, I could remove all tokens in either a column or a row.
Oh, okay. And you're removing them.
And with Aphrodite, very similar to Medusa, I can copycat what the previous ability was for the monsters.
All right. And with that, I think we're ready to begin, right? So now, again, we are playing on the 6x6 board. So it's technically the shorter game, which means we have 14 tokens instead of a total of 19 when you're playing the 7x7 board. So I'm just going to go ahead and start by doing a very simple move. I'm going to move the Hydra forward 2 spaces. Okay. So again, you cannot enter a space with another figure or pass over them. So I'm forced to stop here. But I get to drop off 2 of my tokens, one in the space I just vacated and another in the space that I passed through. And that is it for my turn. So then it goes to you, Naveen.
Okay, as Apollo, I'm going to slide forward 2 spaces and I'm going to drop off 1, 2.
Okay. All right, well, back to me. I'm just going to do a very simple move. I'm going to move the Centaur up 1 space. So it's just 1 token. But hopefully that blocks Apollo off
It does.
for a little bit of time.
It does. Okay, let's bring Poseidon up 2 spaces.
Okay.
I'm going to drop off
That's 2 tokens.
2 tokens. Okay, it's getting a little tight here.
So then back to me, and I'm going to move the Hydra again, but this time I'm going to go all the way to the end. So I started here. I move through this space, as well as this one. Now, Naveen has a token here, which gets returned back to him.
That it does.
And replaced with one of my tokens. So that's it for me. Now it's back to you.
Great opportunity for Zeus to go. So we're going to move.
What's Zeus' power?
Well, Zeus is just going to go. He's just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4.
I
Removing these 3
see.
back to you. And then dropping off 1, 2, 3. Oop, and we get 1 more here.
All right. And now Zeus has this entire row
To do what he does.
to himself. All right. Well, back to the Hydra. I'm going to go all the way across this way.
Okay.
So I already had tokens here, but I
Very
get to
good.
place one where I left from.
This one goes back
That
to
goes
me.
back to you, and so does this.
Yes.
So I'm going to replace it with mine.
A little bummer. Look at Apollo just surrounded.
Apollo is surrounded. That's true.
Apollo's
What's Apollo's
surrounded.
ability? After moving as normal.
Yeah, I
so
can't
you
even move.
cannot move. So Apollo is frozen.
That is okay. We're just gonna wreak havoc in your back row. 1, 2, 3. Zeus is just doing it alone. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Good luck.
Okay.
Good luck, Zeus.
Well, I'm going to move the Cyclops backwards 1,
Okay.
and it just returns this
Wow, look at you.
and replaces with mine.
Now
it's back to you.
Okay. I'll bring up Aphrodite 1 space right on top of yours.
Okay. All right, so then it's back to me. And I'm just going to move the Minotaur forward 2 spaces. So I do remove one of my own pieces.
You do?
But that's okay. I'm just going to move it aside. So there you go. Back to you.
You got two of my characters like locked in just like this, so I gotta just use. I'm gonna
It's
use.
a plan, right?
Yeah, I think so. So I'm gonna use Poseidon right now, and I'm
Okay.
gonna drop Poseidon here. Let's
Oh,
go ahead
downwards.
and downward. Yeah,
Okay.
just like that. Let's give that back to
Thank
you.
you.
Let's put this one out right over here.
Interesting.
Yes.
Well, let's see. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, I have 8.
8, yeah.
Ah.
More than half.
I think I'm literally one short, but
Oof,
I'm
one
still
short.
going to do it because I think it's not bad. I'm going to activate one of my character's powers. So I think I'm going to activate the Cyclops' power.
Okay.
It says after moving, move a second time, placing your tokens as normal, then remove this figure. So I am going to be down one figure, but I'm hoping that it pays off in the end.
Okay.
So I'm going to move 1, 2,
Okay.
and then these 2 go to you.
Okay.
2 will go on the board, and I'm going to move a second time, going all the way down.
Whoa.
So I'm going to get tokens pretty much. Well, I guess I'm not one short because I already had a token
couple
on the
there.
board, so
Yeah.
I have to consider that. But there's
Ooh,
that.
look
2
at
tokens
all
is
of that.
not bad. But the Cyclops now
out.
must be removed from the board, and I do
Correct.
not get to place a figure there, or a token there.
And you get the flip over Cyclops.
And I must flip over Cyclops.
So you
Cyclops
are
has left
short
us.
one person. So Zeus will
I'm short
just
one person.
slip all the way down this way, giving you all 3 of these back, and then we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, I miscalculated that a bit.
That's okay.
Because of the tokens that I already had on the board.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to use another one of my powers, and I'm going to activate the Minotaur. So while moving, exit one end of the board and re-enter on the opposite side. This isn't that magical,
Okay.
but I am going to go this way so that I can get back here.
So you're gonna put 1 and 1.
Yes,
Okay,
I'm just putting out 2 tokens, one that replaces
Look
yours.
at you.
And this gets flipped over, but the
does.
Minotaur stays. So I do still have that character. Oh no, I'm down a character.
You're
I really
down
did miscalculate
a
this because
character.
I was hoping that I could have ended it in 2 turns, but
Yeah.
with that miscalculation, now I'm just down a character,
You
unfortunately.
are. Well, Aphrodite really appreciates this wide open lane. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And so all these can go back to you. And then we go 1, 2, 3, and 4. I have
Ooh.
2 left, Monique.
Scary. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ugh, what have I done?
You've locked up Apollo.
Okay, then, in the spirit of activating character powers, because it seems like I've been doing most of mine, I'm going to activate Cerberus.
Cerberus is a
So,
good one for you.
Yes, it says instead of moving, replace any 3 god tokens with your tokens.
Yeah, straight replace.
So I can choose any 3, and I think, I bet people are watching saying, no, replace those. I'm going to replace these. 1, 2, 3. I don't know if this is ideal, but I'm doing it. All right, that's me. That's back to you.
So I'm thinking of doing Aphrodite's ability.
Oh, and
I'm
just
gonna-
doing the same
doing
thing?
Cerberus and undoing what you've just done.
Ugh,
Since those were your most 3 prized.
okay.
1, 2, 3. There you go.
Now, I will mention, because we have both Aphrodite and Medusa in play, I could technically use Medusa to mimic the power that Aphrodite mimicked and just replace those.
Yeah, okay.
So would you like to just do that over?
Okay. That's a good call. Okay, so let's just go ahead and put these back as blue. So blue, blue, blue.
Yeah.
And we'll just find a different way to do something with Aphrodite's ability.
And this isn't always going to be the case because the base game comes with 8 characters per side, and you only randomly choose 6 in the smaller board.
Right. Okay, we'll send Hermes normally all the way down this way, ending here. So we're going to get rid of 1, 2, and 3 to you. And then we got 1, 2, 3.
Oh boy. Well, we might as well bring the Minotaur back. So I'm going down this way.
Okay.
And I'm going to replace all of these with
That you
mine.
are, aren't
So
you?
1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so back to you. I have 3 left.
All right. Let's just send Athena all the way down. So we're going to take these 4 out. And then we are going to drop off.
So Athena was here.
Yep. So we're going to drop off 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Oh my goodness.
It's hard.
So then it's back to me, and I'm just going to move the Hydra forward 2 spaces. So this takes that out. I hope there's no move that lets you just put out 3 tokens, because if so, is there? Am I done?
I'm looking. All right, there is a way. I am going to use Athena's ability. So is instead of moving as normal, move 3 single steps, each horizontally or vertically. So she's going to go 1, 2, 3.
Ah, man.
Boom.
That's
Boom.
it.
And then we're
you're
going
gonna
to
have so
drop
many
them off. 1,
points.
2, 3.
That is it. That is the end of your turn.
Yeah.
I always forget that you have to flip tokens. So it's not enough to count the spaces. You have to keep in mind that if you go over the spaces that have your own tokens, you're not putting additional
You're not putting
tokens
them out
out
there.
onto the board.
No.
But that is it. So that is the end of the first game. And Naveen, your score is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay,
6
very good.
points.
Yeah, so we now I'm going to take on the role of the monsters. We're going to leave every single god and monster in their relative position, and then I will be going first. And so we're just going to reset the game. All right, so now we are reset. Here I will be playing. Monique will be those ones over there.
And I'm going to try my best this time to not lock up my characters.
Yeah, 3 characters.
I feel like I just gave that one away,
You
unfortunately.
really imprisoned Apollo, but
I did.
yeah. Okay, let's just send Cyclops up 1, 2. Real simple, real easy.
Standard
Dropping.
opening move,
Standard,
I
boom.
see.
Just get some tokens on.
So then I'm going to try something a little bit different. For my first turn, I'm just going to move back 1 space as Apollo.
Look at you.
I'm just placing out 1 token.
Okay.
So that's it.
Okay, well then I will take up that gap space. 1, 2, 3. Take that. You're gonna take that, and then we're gonna go 1, 2, 3.
Well, I placed myself there.
You did.
Might as well
Take it.
follow through, right?
Are you gonna do Apollo's?
No, I'm not. And land back there with Medusa? I don't think so.
Why not?
I'm just going to go all the way straight. You want me to waste that power.
Yeah.
Okay, back to you.
I'll just creep a little bit. Let's just creep.
All right,
There you go.
that's it.
That's it.
Thank you.
Just see what happens.
Well, I guess I'll just creep with Athena as
Yeah.
well. So I'm going to move horizontally. And I'm just going to replace 1 token with mine. So now it's back to you.
All right, let's go for it. Medusa all the way down.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. There we go.
All right.
All right. We
So
get
how
to
many
go
is that?
4,
1, 2, 3, 4?
And 4. Yep.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll just
Hermes it up.
Hermes it
Oh,
up.
there's the box in.
There's the box
There's
in.
the box in.
This is how I got in trouble last time. Hold on now.
Wait a second. Okay.
This feels familiar.
Hold the phone. Okay, so Cerberus will just slide down,
Okay.
and then we'll drop one off.
So then with Athena, I'm just going to move down. I'm just going to go all the way down. So can you move your tokens, please? That is 4 for me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now it's back to you.
We're just gonna slide across. Why
Gonna
not?
Slide
I don't like it.
Slide Cerberus
Yeah,
over.
1, 2, 3, 4. There we go.
Okay. So then Aphrodite will come down all the way down this way. So it moves these 2.
It does.
1, 2.
Okay.
And I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4. Now it's back to you.
All right, Monique. I think I've done it.
What?
The Cyclops. After moving, move a second time, placing your tokens as normal, then remove this figure. So I think if I go 1, 2, so I'll leave it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I can go 1, 2. How many does that leave behind?
Oh my god.
Is that enough? Let's find out. If I can end it here, I will.
I think I'm terrible at
If
this
not,
game.
I'll go 1,
I've
2,
come to the
3,
conclusion.
4, 5.
Well, no, you're Tokyo.
That's the end right there,
Yeah.
right? And then I would go 1, 2. So it would go 1, 2, right?
Yeah.
Ending it there. So Cyclops is removed. Cyclops
Wow.
action done.
That's
I will
unfortunate.
return those back to you.
I didn't even use any of my god powers. This is 1, 2,
I always
3,
had
4,
plans
5.
for Cyclops to just
7.
create a muck, and I really wanted to open up an L shape with them. So
I could never find an
kinda worked out.
opportunity to use my powers in this.
I thought you
specific
should have
one.
used Hermes. I think you had an opportunity to use Hermes and get out of there.
I made a mistake and put them there.
Planted them there.
Planted them there, yeah.
I probably would have moved Hermes somewhere like around the Minotaur, so I couldn't come back around where Hermes vacated and left it here, because then now the Minotaur is only getting one thing or
Right.
something like that.
My plan initially was to get Zeus into position to do the diagonal, which
All
would have been 4
4.
tokens. Well, originally my plan was to move Apollo and move Apollo back, but Medusa sort of got in the way of that.
Yeah.
And I think we were both kind of playing chicken with Aphrodite and Medusa. Like,
Yes.
we didn't want to copy somebody else's ability. And there was always a bit of a standoff in terms of the centaur. Even in the first game, I was waiting for whatever token you had diagonally to move it.
I was waiting for you to move Poseidon. Yeah, I
thought
really
about
wanted
that,
you to move Poseidon.
knowing that that's what I wanted in the first game. So I figured I'm not going to move Poseidon because I
okay.
don't want to give the centaur that much space to move.
I couldn't justify using the centaur for just 2.
Right.
I want that third one by using that diagonal.
That's right. And I was also waiting for a time where all of these would be blue. Like this would be perfect to use Poseidon's ability, which is just removing all the tokens in the rower column.
Yep.
But it ended too quickly. Well, there you go. Good job, Naveen. And if you'd like to calculate your score, it was 6 points from the first game and 7 points in the second game.
13.
I guess that makes sense because this one was a little bit shorter. So, in case you're curious about the other 2 characters that we didn't feature, for the monsters, we also have the Siren, which says place any god onto this space, then move away as normal, as well as the Griffin that says when moving as normal, jump over any one figure. So similar to Hermes, except you can jump over a figure during movement.
Nice. Okay, so I had Hercules. So when moving, push any one monster along the space in front, but not off of the board. So you can basically shove them kind of where you want them to go. The other one was Artemis. End the movement on a space with a monster, then remove both figures.
Oh.
So it's like you go boom and then take them both out.
Yeah, for all this blocking that we're trying to do, you can remove them.
Yeah.
In addition, like we were mentioning during the teach, there are also some additional expansions. Now, during the campaign, it's possible that they're going to be coming with the base game, but for future retail copies, these are going to be additional. It's called the Reinforcements and Gates expansion, and it basically includes additional monsters. So we have 3 additional monsters. For the monsters, it's a Geryon, Typhon, as well as the Echidna. And we also have a victory monster, which says the Caledonian boar, instead of moving, claim victory if there are 4 gods on the spaces around, straight and diagonal. So it does introduce an additional victory condition.
And the 3 additional gods would be Hephaestus, Ares, as well as Hestia. And then the victory god would be Hera. This one says, instead of moving, claim victory if all 4 adjacent spaces are occupied by tokens. So if you have Hera there and it's boom, 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 and it's your tokens, then you win immediately.
So these are cards that'll basically require you to think of multiple ways. You're never safe, essentially. And the gates portion of the expansion introduces these 8 different gates. Now, again, these are upgraded components, so the retail version of the gates will look different. But essentially, when playing with these, you're going to shuffle them and randomly place out 2 onto the board. And they basically correspond with specific powers that you can utilize only when moving horizontally across the gate. And as an example, this gate is Reinforcements, which says on each space after the gate that the figure moved over, you can place 2 tokens on each space instead of just 1. So those are all of the spaces after the gate. And figures may never end their movement on gate tiles, but as you can see, there are a wide variety of effects that they can do, but it is a part of an expansion.
Well, there you have it. That is Ichor. This game is currently on Kickstarter, so if you are interested in the campaign, there's a link in the description down below. If you have any questions about anything you saw here, feel free to also leave those in the comments down below, and we'll try to get back to you as soon as we can. Thank you all so much for watching the video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to see more like this in the future, please consider subscribing.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.